it's Kay from OK Quilting, and I'm so glad to be here today. We are going to talk again about cropping the ending of your quilt because I got a question this weekend at a class that I was teaching, and it was an unusual question, and I didn't immediately have the answer, and I had to really do some thinking and figuring to decide on what the best way to do that was. So we're going to talk about that today. I know that a lot of you get really panicky about ending the quilt. You know you're great with Pro Stitcher and you're doing better with getting the edge to edge to go and doing all your advances, and then you get down to the end and it's kind of a panic. And I totally remember that feeling because that happened to me too. I just dreaded. It's like, oh, I know it's not going to land right and I don't know how to get rid of what's left, and hopefully I have enough room so I can just stitch that last row out because I don't care if it uses extra batting. I totally get it. Okay, so but I promise that now when I quilt, I don't even have to think about it. So you will get there too. Just be a little patient. Here's another video on how to do it. So let's get going. Let's head on over to Pro Stitcher. All right, so here we are in Pro Stitcher. And I have just a 60 by 60 area here. All right, so in the event that I wanted to crop the bottom. So right now, what you're seeing is, this is what usually happens when we're quilting, right? Our design kind of goes up out of our pink area box. And I'll be honest, that drives me crazy. So usually when I'm quilting, I will clear my area. Now, I'm going to be honest, I've had computer issues today and I jumped back to an old computer, and clear is right here. In our new PS Connect versions, it's over here in the sidebar. So that's where it should be. So just ignore this clear for right now. All right, so here's my design. So let's say I'm quilting along and I need to cut it off like right about here, where that kind of, you can kind of see a line there. This is one of those patterns that goes down and up and down and up and down and up. So those almost always have to be cropped off. So what I would do at this point is I would move my machine. So hopefully I would keep quilting till I was down to where the end of the quilt was. Okay, so my pattern's probably longer, but then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set my needle outside the stitched area, and I'm going to hit 2 corner, and then I'm going to move my machine again, and I probably I can only get down to my bar, which is past my quilt bottom, right? But it might not encompass all of the bottom of the design. So I'll hit 2 corner. All right, so that's enough to deal with my quilt problem. Here's the problem. It would keep stitching over here, and then it would try to jump down to over here, which we know is beyond our bar. So we're going to make this area bigger to encompass all of this design. So how we're going to do that is over here in area, we can actually click on this box. So right now it's only 2.75 inches tall. We're going to hit clear, and let's just say 10. Okay, 10 should be enough. If it's not, we'll make more. 10 was plenty. Okay, so what I did was I made the box bigger. So now everything I don't want to stitch is in the box. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit modify, crop. Now this time, a lot of times we'll crop what's on the outside of our box, but this time we are going to crop what's on the inside of our box. Now, we have all these starts and stops. I don't want to deal with those because I'm a lazy quilter. So I'm going to hit edges. So what happens when I hit edges is that it gives Pro Stitcher permission to use this pink line to stitch mathematically wherever it has to go to finish my design. And so we're going to see some straight lines. So I'm going to hit baseline. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clear that area so you can see the bottom. So see how it's got straight lines there? So that is one way to crop the bottom. Now I would always, when I was doing this, I would make sure that I was at the bottom of my quilt. I even like to go into the batting a little bit. I'm okay with that. I usually have a little bit extra. So I would, crop it off so that that stitched line should be below my quilt, not on my quilt. All right, so let's get now to the question that I was asked the other day. And that question was, well, the bottom of my quilt's not straight. It's kind of curvy like that. So I want to use multi-point. So let's talk about that for a second. So what she wanted to do was use multi-point to crop off. So, oh, actually, I'm going to clear that. Let's move up a little bit. So let's say now the bottom of my quilt's up here. So we're going to crop off this part. So instead of using a 2-point, I'm going to experiment with a multi-point, and we're just going to pretend that the bottom of this quilt is kind of a disaster area and it goes all over the place. And remember, when you're using multi-point, that it always connects to itself. That's why we're getting some crazy little shapes there. We'll come out here, hit multi-point again. And if you're doing this at home, remember, multi-point's got a diamond in it. 2 corners got a star in it. If you have the programmable handles, you can use those buttons to do this instead of what I'm doing. Oh, actually, okay, I'm going to come back up here like this and make a very strange area, because that's kind of what the issue was here. Multi-point. Okay, so it has connected to itself. So let's say, ignore this point. Imagine this was up here. I lost my mind there for a second. Okay, so what she wants to do is have this line go across the bottom of her actual quilt. But then she had this problem that the whole thing wasn't inside her space. So then what she tried to do was to go to area and to edit that area. So get a good look at what that area looks like. And now we're going to change the height of that area. So I'm going to clear it, and I'm just going to exaggerate this and put in 15. All right, so now I have the whole quilt in this space, but did you notice that this whole line changed? So it did not maintain the actual line. It changed everything about this area. So that is not going to work. So let's go back. So let's say she made this area. At this point, what I would tell her would be to go to modify, crop. We're going to crop the inside and the edges. Okay, and then we would baseline. And now that I've baselined, I can go ahead and clear that area. But I have a problem right here, don't I? So really the only way to fix that is now to go back and do another 2-corner area. So I would go ahead, I would go ahead and move I want to be outside that, and I'm going to hit 2-corner. And now I probably can't get to that whole area. Let's go a little farther. Hit 2-corner. So I don't have all the stitches in that area. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to change the height again. I'm going to clear that. Let's put in 6 and see if that works. And it does. And you can see that it doesn't affect anything except right over here. All right, if that really panics you, I can fix that. I can show you how to fix that. But at this point, we're going to modify, crop. We're going to crop the inside. And we shouldn't really need to do anything about the edges because there aren't really any. So let me baseline that, and then I can clear that area. So this is what would actually stitch. Now, if this area is a problem, super easy thing. I mean, oops, except that, you should move your needle there first. So you've got to be looking at your quilt and what you did. So if this is your problem, you're probably going to need to make a little tiny area like this. Do a little tiny 2-corner. Let's see. Maybe right there. And of course that did not work. 2-corner. There we go. And then I can modify and I can crop what's on the inside. And then if I baseline, I should have that all cleaned up. So you might not notice that that's out. The problem with that being so far out was that it's possible that that would have been outside your actual stitching area, like off the quilt. All right. So Her concern, though, was that she had an uneven bottom on her quilt. And one time she used that two-corner method and it quilted a straight line through part of the bottom of the quilt. And so she didn't want to use that system anymore because it she had to do some unpicking. And I totally get that, right? We all hate picking. But I really do think that a two-corner is easier to use than a multi-point, because if you do the multi-point, you're probably going to have to do a multi-point plus a two-corner. But the trick to that is you have to find the lowest point of your quilt. And we don't really think about that necessarily. You know, we do our first ding, ding, and then we go to the other side and we're going down. So we're not really paying attention to, does my quilt have a little bit of a smile in it? So that's one thing that you could do. Before you did your two-corner, maybe just kind of assess, where's the lowest point in this border or in the quilt? And then that's where you need to line up your two-corner. Does that make sense? I hope so. If not, leave me comments. I'm always happy to make another video. But I totally get that the end can be panicky. But the number one rule of long arm quilting is don't panic. It's just a quilt. You can unpick it. Life happens, okay? You can always walk away. When you start feeling panicky, it's time to quit. Go get a Diet Coke, relax for a while. But I hope that this helped. If you ever have any questions or comments, please feel free to email me. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to this channel. I try to put out content that's useful to you. So if you just hit a like for this video and a subscribe, that really helps me know what kind of videos that you want me to make. So I hope you have a good day. I hope that makes some sense. And I hope you have happy quilting going forward. Take care.